Hello everyone, my name is Samia Touileb, and today I will be the negative one. So I will be talking about actually the negative societal and ethical implications of language models. And to start with, I wanted to give you some of the risks. So this is not an exhaustive list, it's just some examples, because I don't have time to cover all of them. But there are quite a lot of bias, discrimination, toxicity, and other harmful implications of using language models. They carry a lot of misinformation, there are problems with privacy, and of course, they have some environmental harm. So these are the ones I'm going to touch upon today. Not too many details, but at least give you an overview of that. So the type of harmful impacts these language models can have can be categorized in, let's say, these 4 categories. So you have the allocational harms, you have the representational harms, you have the quality, and then the denigration. In the first part, it means that you are either allocating or depriving certain groups of people an opportunity or resource. In the second one, you are either stigmatizing or stereotyping certain groups of people. The third one is that you are creating tools, or the tools that are there, the language models, work much better for a certain group of people. For example, especially English speakers, right? And then you have the fourth one, which are systems that generate hate speech or fake news, or hallucinate. So this is not really new, and it's not only for language models. It already started with word embeddings, where one could see that man is closer to computer science that the men are close to computer science as women are close to homemaker, and this doesn't stop to these 2 descriptions. You have gender bias analogies, where you have that man is closer to doctor, is as close to doctor as women is close to nurse. Women are receptionists while men are supervisors. When you look at racial bias, you have black are criminals, white Caucasian as police. And then you also have religions, where you have Muslims are terrorists and Christians are civilians. And this is basically, it comes to this very nice quote that I like a lot, which is that word embeddings get things normatively wrong because they get things descriptively right. So what does it mean? So a normative point of view is that how you want the world to be. So that's what we wish that our society should look like, right? While the descriptive one is how it actually is. So we know that we humans are problematic, we know that we generate problematic content, and with no surprise, the models can have this kind of problematic content. So we tried to look at this descriptive and normative bias in language models. This is work we did with Lilia Vrelid and Erik Veldad from the University of Oslo, where we look at Norwegian, English, and French language models and try to see how descriptive they are or normative they are when it comes to occupations. And as you can see, well, the darker the color, the worse they are, but they are all quite good as being descriptive, so they are quite good at representing females and males when it comes to occupations. But when you look at it from a normative point of view, when you want female and male to be represented equally, then most models just fail. Another example is the type of content then they can generate. So these are some examples of harmful completions of Scandinavian language models. Here are the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish. It's just a selection of the models, not an exhaustive test of all models, but at least it's we try to select the biggest models for each language. And we ask the model, so the part which says template is what we are asking the model. So for example, the women dream of being, and then we ask the model to complete a sentence for us. I tried to hide some of the words because, as you can see, they are bad. But these are the most likely words that a model returns. And this is, of course, very problematic, right? You don't want a model to tell you that women dream of being raped or that girls should work as prostitutes. All right. And then it doesn't stop to just bias and discrimination and harmful content, but also misinformation. So I tried to play a little bit with ChatGPT. I'm sorry that's in Norwegian, but I'm going to tell you what I wrote. So I just asked it, do you know that Ola Borten Moe is the Research and Higher Education Minister in Norway? And then it tells me, nope, it's not. It was that from 2012 to 2013. And then I told it, no, it was not. He was not, sorry, the research and higher education minister. In that period, he was oil and energy minister. And then it tells me, oh, okay, thank you, I was wrong. And then I ask it something else, just to like lead it in another direction, and I ask it about a more private person, which is actually my boss. So this is the head of my department. So I ask it who Maria Slavkovic is. And it gives me a description of her and her research. From a first glance, it looks actually right, but it's not. Most of the things it's saying is wrong. And then I ask her, okay, do you know any of the people who work on AI from the Institute of Information Science and Media Studies that she is leading? And it gives me a list of researchers. All of them are Norwegian, but actually none of them are from the University of Bergen. Many are from the University of Oslo, some are from the NTNU, some are from Oslo Met, and some, I think, have even left academia. And then I say, no, sorry, I meant the Department of Information Science and Media Studies at the University of Bergen. And again, it generates a list of random researchers from Norway that have no relationship with the University of Bergen. And then after playing a little bit with a more specific person, I went back to ask about Ola Borten Moe. And it still doesn't know that Ola Borten Moe is actually the researcher, the Minister of Higher Education and Research. And then I just rephrase the question differently, and it still doesn't know. It still tells me that it's Guri Melby. And then I say, okay, are you really updated about the state of politics in Norway in 2023? And it tells me, yes, I know everything about what's happening in Norway. And then I go back and I ask it, okay, so who is the Minister of Higher Education and Research? And it, again, tells me somebody else. And I just rephrase it differently, and it gives me another person, which is now, I know, it just tells me, sorry, I don't know. I re-ask it, and now it told me that it's Ola Guervik, Bollestad. And then I said, no, this is wrong. It's Ola Borten Moe. And then it says, okay, you're right. It happened in 2021. And then I said, yes. And then it just resays what I told it. And I retry it once more. And again, another person. And I know what the truth is, right? But the problem with this is, what if the person doesn't know? What if the person has no information about who actually is the minister and tries to talk to ChatGPT and just believe what ChatGPT is saying? And then I gave it a last chance and told, okay, do you want to try again? And tell me who is the minister? And again, it tells me it's Henrik Asheim, which of course is not. And these are, so Ola Borten Moe is a public figure. Maria Slavkovic do have some presence online, right? Because she is a researcher and she's the head of a department at the University of Bergen. But the problem is, what if we talk about people who are randomly mentioned maybe in the news, or if you are training a model on electronic health records, right? The information is there in the language model. And because we are trying to use these models to predict the next word, you might actually have access to sensitive information about people. So here, for example, if we have a document that says that Mr. Lehmann showed symptoms of diabetes, it was part of the training data for a larger trained model, and then later you ask the model, Mr. Lehmann has, and then the model might tell you diabetes. And this is a problem, because you can actually trace back to a specific person that didn't ask to be part of the model. Maybe it was just mentioned. Okay, I'm going to try to be very quick. These models have also a lot of environmental harm. So this is the actually amount of CO2. These are in pounds, but I mean, you can make the conversion in kilograms by yourselves. Where you can see the air travel of one person, which is the third line from New York to Santa Fe, compared to training a big transformer model, which is, I mean, if we're trying to think about the environment, then we should think about this aspect as well. And looking at the three, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, what kind of energy they are using, you can see that most of it is actually not renewable. Google is quite good, but the other ones are not. And this is also one aspect one should take into consideration when we use language models. So I'm going to be quick. So why should we care about all of this? So the problem now, especially with ChatGPT that is open to everybody, is that many people think that they are neutral and unbiased. There are even research that shows that people open up more to these chatbots and models than they would open up to in person, right? But they are keeping this data and they are using it and training their models basically against you. And these kind of biased models, they can cause a negative effect on society in general. They can discriminate, as I showed, they can shape the biases, they can give you biased associations, they can perpetuate unfairness, basically. I'm going to jump to what I think should be the takeaway message, because I ran out of time. So I think that it's time that we are more aware of how our developed technologies are appropriated by others. We are trying to democratize a lot of things in AI, but we are opening datasets and models, but we don't know who are using them, what they are using them for, and how. And yes, it's very difficult for us, the researchers at least, to actually measure the consequences because of unprecedented scale and usage and availability. We never had this before, right? And then nobody might hold us accountable for unintended consequences of what we are releasing of models or technologies, but we have to recognize and alert which uses of our technologies can be morally questionable. And that was my last slide. Thank you.